Hey guys, I just hit Mythril rank on Mythgard. It took me roughly 30 hours and about 150 to 200 games. If you've seen my short Stardew Valley video, I've talked about how I don't play games competitively. And this goes against what I've previously said, since climbing the ladder correlates to playing competitively. So why did I climb for Mythril? Why did I climb at all? When I posted my 100 hours video on Mythgard, I tried to hit the community by dropping it in the Discord. To be honest, I did. I'm not sure I resonated that well with their own thoughts on the game, which is fine, since I just wanted to be heard as feedback for the game. One of the criticisms that I fell under is that I should have been taken with a grain of salt since I was lower on the ladder. In all fairness, it was a major issue that I saw even before I posted the video. Before then, I was hasty on creating content for the video game to build traction and to start creating content in general. I'm still hasty on creating content and building traction, but I have grown a little bit in those 2 weeks. I learned a lot about the meta, not all, but a lot about the meta during my climb. For me, I solely relied on green-purple necro deck. If you're not familiar, it relies on Disc of Cicada to drop big boy monsters in the boneyard and then resummon them without the need for mana consumption with Hopeless Necromantic, which summons creatures from the boneyard after dying. I climbed with this deck because purple has a lot of big mana boys that are cheap and not mythic. I decided that during my climb that if I open mythic or rare cards, I can add them to the deck, kind of pay as you go. It has a few problems. Orange seems to do well against it due to Ghoul and Seal of Exile. Any bounce cards do really well since they could just bounce the Necroed minion and ultimately delete it from the game. It also relies a little bit heavily on the early draw than other decks. That's just how I feel, since you generally need Hopeless Necromantic before turn 4. Anyways, what I'm ultimately trying to say is that in my scope of climbing, I only fully experienced the climbing strength of green-purple Necro. I faced other decks, of course, but I don't have the same amount of experience as other people who have climbed with them. So since I cleared that up, this is more of a reflection video on whether or not my opinions changed since my last video, which was about 2 weeks ago. To be honest, guys, a lot of them haven't, but I've gained more insight on the game, and thus I can create a clearer message towards the meta, the state of the game, the climbing process, To be honest, I don't have too many qualms against the meta. There are some combo decks that are a little frustrating to encounter, but mostly rare and I don't think are as consistent. Some mythic cards are still really strong. Not a lot, but I think Sapo the Devourer is strong, 7 Ring Ritual, and Sable Wing Zero. But here's the thing, they're not game-breaking. They're very far game-breaking. On a scale of slightly annoyed to uninstall the game, I would say these mythics leave me heavily annoyed and make me think I need to make a better deck. Transformation cards, rush cards, and lethal can beat Sapo. Damage across the board can beat 7 Ring. And the same things that beat Sapo can beat Zero. Actually, I get more annoyed with things that aren't mythic now that I've climbed a little bit. And notice how relying on mythic cards to win the game isn't exactly a consistent strategy. I found a new frustration towards Fire of Creation though. But again, it's still not game breaking. Although I generally do need to take a break from the game after facing a creation deck because they take like an hour long. And the thing is, the meta is always bound to change. I think for games like Mythgard, they need to change. The meta needs to highlight other aspects of the game over time. This makes me really giddy and outright excited for the expansion. I can't wait to try out some bomb K9 decks. Next, the state of the game. I will always bring back how I feel on the content that isn't exclusively for competitive play. Things like story and PvE kind of stuff. The story has always glared out to me. I know. The devs are working on it. And yeah, I get it. What I'm saying is, it's not, I want all of it now, binge on all story mode this instant. It's more of, I want it to be a continuous thing, month after month, maybe year after year. But here's the big problem with what I want. Runner Game started in 2016. That's 4 years ago. I don't think they're going to be dropping months worth of content every year. I can't even imagine how much sleep they get now, much less in the future. Mythgard is a free-to-play game with really tame grinding. It allows a lot of players to remain free to play. So you know what? This is my message to you. If you're a free-to-play player, stop. Pay some money so I can get that delicious story mode. Mythgard's universe is really cool. It reminds me of a dope Shadowrun campaign. I want so much lore content that it's not even funny. So spend money on Mythgard. Get this ball rolling. If they don't release lore on story mode, but on an offshoot third-person dungeon crawler like Diablo, that'd be so cool. Nevertheless, Mythgard does need more players. It's kind of a bittersweet feeling when I queue up with the same people. It makes the community very inclusive and personalized, but whenever I queue up with someone I know that's easily stronger than me, I don't know if it's better to concede or wait till the 5th turn. So if you're on the fence on playing the game and it's taking up your time, I will be upfront. I'm glad I've spent over 130 hours on this game. I'm here to stay. I hope Mythgard is too. Okay, so since I've clarified a lot of my points from the last video, I want to talk about my recent success in Mythgard, hitting Mythril ranks. Why did I do it? To attain some credibility in my strength in Mythgard. So, am I a good player? In my eyes, I'm okay. The climb to Mythril for me seems like a prerequisite for being a content creator for Mythgard. It was my personal mission to show that I knew 1/10 of what I was talking about, and in the process, I kind of became a competitive player and lived against my own words, but I digress. Mythril rank for me is just the start of the climb, and the beginning of a testament to my true skill as a player. I'm probably not going to climb anymore this season, since I mostly burned myself out the past 2 weeks living and breathing the game just for the next rank, but next season, I want to climb with other decks. I want to experience more of the game as a casual competitive player, I guess. I also want you to know I didn't hit Mythril myself. After I dropped my last video on Discord, I started to familiarize myself with the community. So many people helped me out, finding more consistent answers to problems that my deck had. People like Toonstar, who streams at Twitch. You really need to check him out. He's a lot better at the game than I am, and he really encouraged me throughout the whole process of climbing. Steph Donhart, who has a YouTube channel. So yeah, check that out too. She's probably the first one from the community to find me posting videos on YouTube and invite me to the Discord, which yeah, you should really join. She's also crazy good at the game, so she brings a lot of insight with her content. Ejecti, who has also helped out with my deck. He's a streamer, YouTuber, and writes articles about Mythgard on his website. He's also on Discord a lot. Lakaz, I think I pronounced that correctly, reached out to me talking about how I can improve. There's people like Leap Daniel, who has a YouTube account, check him out, and Wiki Vision, where we talk about how we feel about the game as a whole. There's a ton of people out there who are super helpful when it comes to learning Mythgard, and I've met most of them on Discord. So I strongly recommend getting on their server and asking questions. They are super helpful. The biggest thing that keeps me hooked on Mythgard right now is the community. So I want to thank you guys for welcoming me. Of course, guys, leave a like, dislike, subscribe, and comment below how you feel about Mythgard. Also, David, keep trolling my videos. I love you, man.